when people wanted the movement in there. But that was still the time that we were on dial-up.
Yeah.
All right, so that was basically you click on something, you go do something else and wait for whatever you wanted to come up.
Oh, yeah.
You
No,
know,
I
and
remember
it was-
the days of dial-up. My dad picking up the phone, yelling at my brother to get off the internet because he goes, I'm waiting on a phone call.
Let's talk Tales.
Today's Tales with Taylor guest has been doing internet marketing since 1995. Yes. And in 2012, she started Arizona Social Media Wiz, seeing a need to train and help business owners get started or improve their digital marketing efforts and make them effective. She specializes in SEO keyword and market research, strategic and tactical planning, social media startups and optimizing, search engine optimization, SEO, SEO copywriting, content marketing, WordPress training, and coaching. She teaches and mentors with the Arizona Commerce Authority's Digital Academy and has published an ebook, The Blueprint: Strategies for Effective Social Media and Digital Marketing, your total digital marketing strategy solution. It's available on Amazon Kindle. My guest resides in downtown Phoenix, where she volunteers with cloud-covered streets to assist the homeless. It's Giselle Aguiar. How are you doing today?
Fantastic. I'm so glad to be here.
I am beyond excited to have you here because we've had the pleasure of knowing each other for many years.
Yes, yeah.
But tell me the tale that originally got you involved in digital marketing, because 1995, I was alive then, but so I can somewhat remember. But it wasn't really a thing. Like the internet wasn't really a thing.
Just born then. I started, actually, I got to go back to my college days.
Okay.
So I wanted to do interior design. Problem is, I can't draw. For a creative person, okay, and you as a creative person will understand when you can't draw, you have no outlet for your creativity, So we looked at several colleges. I ended up in a school with retail merchandising and retail management in a 2-year program, but I ended up going for a bachelor's in business administration. So with emphasis in marketing and advertising. So then I got into, I even took a class in commercial art, and I really realized I can't draw. And my art teacher said, you can't draw, So I worked in sales, I worked in hotels, I worked on a cruise ship for a while. Fast forward, I'm living in Miami. I'm working as marketing coordinator for a seafood restaurant. It's right on the Miami River. It was a really cool place. I eat fresh seafood every day. It was awesome. And that was when the PCs first came out. And my boss, the owner of the restaurant, was really into them. Mm-hmm. And he realized that on the PC, I could do a lot of stuff because the computer was doing what I couldn't do with my hands. Mm-hmm. So learning with Corel Draw, that was before Adobe, before all the Photoshop and all that. That was the first graphics program that I worked on. And he realized that I could do ads for him. I could create logos and stuff. And so I graduated from that into, this is the early 90s, so into doing my own desktop publishing business. And I was a member of the North Dade Chamber of Commerce, and I was doing networking. And I was doing newsletters for a lot of clients. So it was like I was a graphic designer. Then I went to a computer show, and there was a booth there for a company called Netrunner, and they had the World Wide Web. And I saw that, and I'm like, I can do that. That's all that was what I was doing online. So it's like, okay. And I taught myself how to do HTML coding. Now, for a graphics person, you're looking at all this code, which really isn't pretty, it's just a bunch of code. But I learned how to do it. And what was really cool is that as soon as I hit view, I'm like, wow, look what I could do, So that's what I started my business in Miami, and I partnered with Netrunner because people were getting online and saying, hey, I want a website. So then they called me. So it was a perfect partnership in that sense. So I was doing that for a while, and I was still doing graphic design because people says, well, I need a logo. So I'm like, hey, no problem. I could do a logo for you too. So then I partnered with another guy. And so then we just kept, that's where it started. My business was called Creative Eye Marketing. So I was doing that for a while. I moved to Central Florida later, but then it started getting fancier. And, when people wanted the movement in there, but that was still the time that we were on dial-up. Yeah. All right. So that was basically you click on something, you go do something else and wait for whatever you wanted to come up.
Oh, yeah. No, I remember the days of dial-up. My dad picking up the phone, yelling at my brother to get off the internet because he just, I'm waiting on a phone call. And you basically had to wait for it to connect. You had to click on something and wait for it to come down. And anything with graphics and people were trying to put video up there, and it would just be too slow, Yep.
And the videos were really short, videos, and animated GIFs, animated graphics, because the thing with graphics is with animations is that it catches people's eye, So I got to learn how to do the animations. I remember I did this banner for a client that he sold golf shirts.
Okay.
And so I did this little thing where the you click the ball would travel and fall into the hole, and then the lettering would come up, and his logo would come up, So that was, and I was like,
fun.
oh, well, look what I can do. That was fun. But as it started getting fancier and fancier, I tried to learn the coding behind it. And that went right over my head. I mean, I took a class. I made a good attempt, but it just went over my head. So I kind of sort of backed away from that for a while, but I was still doing, working in sales, but, kind of consulting my employers in how to do marketing and the website. Fast forward to 20 years ago, I decided I got tired of hurricanes, so I moved here to Phoenix. Mm-hmm. Again, I was working for several companies. I got laid off in 2008, and then I got hired by a financial advisor. And so I was his marketing coordinator, and that's where I learned WordPress. Mm-hmm. So that was my first WordPress. And I learned inbound marketing. So that's when it came out. HubSpot was the first one to come out and start. The guys that created HubSpot and started HubSpot were the ones that were teaching and doing webinars on inbound marketing. So that was where people would just, would search. I remember when Yahoo came out first in 1995, and then mm-hmm. Google came in two years later. Mm-hmm. So that's where people were saying, so, okay, you have to change your strategy a little bit because you want to be found when people are searching for what you have to offer.
Right.
But back in 1995, I was doing classes on what's the internet, where's it going, and why your business has to be on it. And I'm still doing that.
You're still teaching people why they need to be online?
Yes.
Wow, that's shocking. I would have figured that your curriculum would have, obviously changed with the different platforms, but I assumed you would have taken that out.
It's still the same thing. Usually a lot of the startups, like I spoke with a gal who, mom and pop service, they do HVAC servicing for air conditioning and so forth. They've never had a website.
Wow.
Okay, they've been in business for 13 years and they've never had a website, and so it's like, why do you want one now? And it's like, well, you're working as a referral basis and word of mouth, and that only goes so far, especially when you're competing against bigger companies who have an online presence. So the little guy, you need to get out there.
And I think the consumer is more conscious than ever before in that they are searching for, your reputation. They're searching for your reviews. They're searching for examples of your work. People, I think, are researching more than ever before they make a purchase decision on anything. It could be about our shoes. Oh my goodness.
Everything. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. Everything is, you Google it online and, so that's basically how I got started, and I was teaching for Greater Phoenix Score also, because same thing. If it was a social media marketing, and then I realized that you can do a lot of stuff on Facebook, but if the website isn't correct, then people land on the website and leave because they can't get to what they need. They're lost, or there's too much stuff, or it doesn't work, and that kind of thing. So that got me into the user interface and user experience of the website, and getting them a website that works. Recently, we did help redo a website for a gal who's a massage therapist in Tucson. And she, her site, she built it herself between her and her husband. And bless their hearts, they tried. But I'm going through it, and it's like, okay, well, I'm here. How do I book? And there's only one booking button, and it's all the way on the top, and it's gone. So it's like you have to think about that. Your call to action is really important. You want those conversions and get people going. And I tell people, you need an explainer video, and it shouldn't be at the bottom of the page. It should be at the top of the page. And I learned that from you.
Yes.
That's it. And that's usually when I send them to Taylor. So and so that was it. That's how I started. And so it's just when people see that I'm an older person, and it's like I just evolved with the technology.
Yeah. No, you were in it from the ground, the ground floor,
exactly.
And you've been able to see the transitions and what to focus on, what not to focus on. And so with that same, line, where do you see the world of the internet going in digital marketing? What do you project in the next 5-10 years?
The artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
It's like, I was trying to avoid it, but I can't anymore.
No.
But I do realize that it can save a lot of time. I haven't played with it that much to create graphics. I'm using the Adobe program, and I'm doing little reels. And what's cool is that I can say resize, so I can take a vertical one and make it into a square. And I'm like, instead of copy pasting back and forth to recreate it, I just did it, and it's done in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I'll when I'm doing search engine optimization to find what search terms for them, or what are their competitors, who else is coming up for certain search terms. Seconds, it gives me it. I'm using Copilot, which is Microsoft's, which is technically ChatGPT. My business partner, who's the web developer I partnered with, he likes Grok, which is X's one. Yeah. And I'm like, well, I'm used to Copilot. I'm going to stick with Copilot. And actually, and when I first started using him for the SEO, I had to do a little bit more work to get what I wanted out of him. Not anymore.
Got it.
It thinks because it's constantly learning, which is crazy when you think about it, because like, where's it going to go? And that's it's like, where's it going to go? And I actually said, I'm like, I'm really impressed with you. You gave me so much information that I can work with here. The other thing is content. Working with a client now who's redoing his website. He's has a commercial cleaning company in Yuma. So he had a blog article that only had 2 paragraphs in it. And I said, okay, this needs a little more work here. So I go to Copilot and I said, I need a 300 to 500 word article on the benefits of having a clean workspace.
Bam, I know.
Boom, it's there. And it just wrote it for me. But the key trick to using the AI content is you need to put in your own what Google calls the EAT, and now it's got 2 E's, so it's EEAT. So it's experience, expertise, authority, and trustworthiness. So that means taking what the AI gives you and your content and adding your own experience to it. Though this article, since I wrote it for him, I have to say, because do you have a tale of something you can tell us? Tell stories, which is, again, that's part of what you do in your video marketing is telling stories, and that's what people want. And the testimonials, is using the testimonials, is putting all that together. I want to ask you, do you find people are hesitant to really tell their own stories?
It really depends on the person and the industry, I found. There are people who they are where they are because of their story.
Right.
And they sit and they live that and they shout it out from the rooftops.
Right.
And then there are some people whom, and I do feel like it's also personality-wise, those introverts perhaps that are like, well, no, it's my product, it's my other thing, it's not me, and it's like those are the ones that are hesitant to put themselves into it.
This guy in Yuma, he's a veteran. Air Force, and I love working with him because I send him, listen, I need this, and this, and he gives me
Don't
7 bullet points, and I was like, wow, but he's got one little line, veteran owned. I go, wait a minute, you're a cleaning company, all right? You want to, showcase you started this company because you come from the military, all right? You need to spot and get it clean, that kind of thing. And veteran owned, that's huge, so we got it, and even the name of the company is Freedom Cleaning Services, and it's like, okay, we got to push the veteran owned.
That's more than one line.
Absolutely. So I found his story actually my partner did found the story in the and I go, okay, I need your bio now, and picture your family, picture your team to do a really good about page, so people see who's behind the company, and a lot of people just like a little paragraph, and I was like, no, you gotta do it bigger.
Yeah, people, again, consumers want to research. Consumers want to know where are they, investing their money. And so that's where it's important to put your face out there. Unless it's a, e-commerce product that they just purchase the product. They don't really need to know the why behind or who behind. But cleaning, you're welcoming people into your private home. You got to build that trust. Or business. You got to build that trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's something I always talk about too, is just how, digital marketing is really just this opportunity to build trust. It's just sharing who you are. Right. What is it that you do? Why do you do it? How do you do it? Right. Online.
People buy from whom they know and trust. Yeah. That's it. That's how it works.
Yeah. And, some people are hesitant to go, well, how are they going to find me and know me online? And it's like, well, more people are online searching for those solutions and searching for those things. Yeah. So I'd like to take a moment to talk about your brand. What was it that made you choose, this look and these color schemes and so forth?
That was done in Corel Draw. It's like 13 years ago.
Tip of the hat to your origins,
Yeah, exactly. And it was a template they had. I can't recreate it because Corel Draw doesn't even exist anymore. Right. So it's like I wanted the saguaro cactus in there because that is Arizona. So that's why I try to use it in all my branding everywhere. And so that's and I like and. The idea of the beiges and the light blues are calming, earthy colors, So I just did an article. One of my ex-employers, from years ago, contacted me. Would you be interested in doing a monthly column for the self-storage publication? And I was like, on marketing? Yeah, how to market your business. I'm like, sure. So I've been doing it for over a year and a half now.
Nice.
And I just did one on the psychology of color. And I've got that on my site, so it's everything from the call to action buttons on the website to your logo to everything, to what you're advertising, what colors catch people's eyes, what each colors portray, basically.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was in film school, one of my favorite books I had when I was in class was If It's Purple, Someone's Gonna Die. And so it was all on colors, psychology and what it means when there's certain color hues. And I guess when you look a lot, if they have like a shade of purple going on, apparently someone's gonna die. Or if they're wearing all white, someone's getting blood.
That I didn't hear. Purple is royalty. That's one thing too. So that's interesting.
Definitely in the movie scenes and things a little different, but there's still some similarities to that too. Just how red could be seen both as a warning, but also as an empowering and powerful and bold color too.
And it also stimulates the appetite, which is why you see red in a lot of restaurants.
Yes, reds and yellows.
Exactly.
So colors are very cool and how they can make you feel things with just the look of them. And so if someone was just starting business today, what would be your top 3 recommendations to do to get started?
Number 1, who's your target audience? Mm-hmm. So who are you trying to reach? And you can have more than one, okay? And it's not just, first of all, are you business to consumer or are you business to business? Or you could be both. So like I talked to a lady who sells insurance. So she has a commercial side and she has a residential, consumer residential side, but she wanted to build up her commercial side. So it's like, well, you got to be on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Period. That's it. In fact, that's what I told the commercial cleaner. Okay, you have to be on LinkedIn. So because that's who he's trying to reach. Property managers and things like that. And then age bracket for the consumer, so it's like, are you trying to reach young people? Are you trying to reach old people? Does that make a difference? That kind of thing. Who do you want to use your service or buy your products? So they need to clearly identify that. And then based on that, okay, where do you reach them? Not everybody's on Facebook anymore. Instagram is great, but it's all visual. So for a B2B business, I'll never forget there was an accountant. I want to be on Instagram. And I'm like, what are you going to put, pictures of spreadsheets on Instagram? Like, no.
Tip videos, perhaps. Tip videos, how to keep your, bookkeeping
possibly,
clean,
but I
how to organize.
think she was going to do that.
Okay.
It was when Instagram just first came out, so it's like,
photos
she wanted to
only.
be on it. I know, yeah. So it's like, no.
Yeah.
Maybe LinkedIn and it was Twitter at the time, for sharing business news and and that kind of thing. Everybody wants to start on Facebook, and it's like, well, Facebook isn't the end all be all anymore, So in fact, I'm going to throw people over to YouTube. Okay, what do we know? It's the second largest search engine next to its parent Google. Okay, you want to take advantage of that algorithm. YouTube's competing with TikTok and Instagram. So they just added a bunch of new stuff. So it's like, in fact, I decided because I have a side ministry that I work on, and I decided I'm going to start a Spanish YouTube channel.
Nice.
So in doing videos, so I thought about it. He goes, well, I can't put the Spanish stuff in the English one because it's going to kind of turn off the English people. So it's better to just do a Spanish channel.
You could do a playlist that's Spanish.
Yeah.
So that way it still goes to the singular ministry. So then that way you're not competing in the SEO for that singular ministry.
Yeah.
And then that way you would just have within the SEO of that playlist description, the, everything in Spanish and the ministry and just, that could make sense.
Yeah. But I might starting another channel. I can do that. So it's
There's options.
It's like,
But agreed, everyone does need to be on YouTube because you were mentioning the demographics. Oh, male, female, young, old. It doesn't matter on YouTube. Literally every single demographic
is on
worldwide
YouTube.
Is on YouTube.
It's on YouTube. And I noticed, because I watch YouTube for news and stuff on my TV. And when I go to my subscriptions, the shorts come up on the top now.
Yep.
So it's like, that's a big difference now. So YouTube wants the people to use the shorts and they've added a bunch of things now that you can do more with the shorts, and you can actually sell products from there, and they partnered with Shopify, so you can connect your Shopify shop to your YouTube channel. You have to have like 1,000 or more.
You have to be part of the YouTube Partner Program. So
And
at the time of this recording, YouTube's notorious for changing things for change's sake. So at the time of this recording, the threshold's 500 subscribers, 3,000 watch hours within a calendar year, or 3 million short views.
And that's a lot of short views.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Although
that's a lot of shorts.
It easier though. I feel like they've made some adjustments with their algorithm and how they're positioning the shorts and putting them on the top. That you are seeing the view counts go up higher.
Right.
But really, it's a matter of making sure that you're also posting things that are aligned with your target audience.
Right.
So if you're just posting a short about your cute dog, that's awesome. You have a cute dog. But if you've been consistently posting about, leveraging your business on social media and you just have this cute dog,
right? Yeah.
It's going to confuse the algorithm.
And that's the other thing, that you need to keep business and personal separate.
Yes.
I noticed that when Pinterest came out, because people started Pinterest for personal stuff. And then they've started putting business stuff in there. And it goes, listen, I don't want to see pictures of your dog.
Right.
You know, I don't want to see pictures of cupcakes if I'm looking for how to remodel my house, you know? So, I mean, it's fine if you're doing doggy doors and stuff like that, you know, okay, yes, but it's got to be all in the same theme of what you're doing. You got to keep business and personal separate, you know, and then you get into politics and religion and you know, and these days the people are so divisive. So it's like, no, you want to, you know, keep personal and business separate. And you can do that. And a lot of people just don't even know how to do it still.
Right. And there's creative ways to like insert your personal personality into your business centric, you know, content. I know someone who's regularly walking her dog while giving some information. Yeah. Oh, okay. This person likes dogs. And so if you like dogs too, you're going to have a conversation point. Yeah. And so you could be creative with your content and, you know, inserting, maybe you're in your edible garden, you know, picking some produce and having a conversation, then you can tie in too. But you always want to go with value too. Yeah, that is something we always promote. I know you promote it too, as being a value-based marketer and actually sharing that information. Goes back
part of to actually that's very much on how to get picked up by the AI search bots now. Is to offer advice and be helpful, because a lot of people, I have a lot of clients that are in the health and wellness industry. And when somebody has a problem, you know, like, it's like, you know, oh, you know, my knees hurt. What could, you know, how do I, so they search for the symptom.
Do I search for symptoms and paranoid myself like none other?
Exactly. And, you know, and Dr. Google is, but now it's Dr. ChatGPT and, you know, and Dr. Perplexity, you know, and so, and so what are these AI bots doing? They're going out looking for the content. They're just grabbing all the content. Now, some of them are getting in trouble with copyright stuff, but that's a whole other thing.
It's a whole episode.
Now with the AI overviews is, even with Google, you'll get that information right at the top that answer a question. So you ask a question and you'll get that answer right there without having to go to the website. So that's what's called a zero-click search results, you know, and it's like, well, that's hurting my, you know, my click-through rate. And so it's like, so everybody's out trying to figure out how to get around that, you know, how to get yourself up there. And then Google's constantly changing too. So before, the paid ads were coming in underneath the overviews. Now they're coming inside the overviews. Yep. So, I mean, come on, you're paying for Google advertising and then people have to scroll down to find your ad, which that's not the whole idea of paying for Google, you know. So, so that is constantly changing. Who knows what that's going to go through, but you got to put the content out there, whether it's video or whether it's written. You have to put the content out there. You cannot not put the content there. Yeah. Yeah.
And what I have found too, although I'm in video marketing and say that everyone should be doing videos, we have seen that almost similar to when you think about investing in finances, to diversify. Right. Like, you want to diversify. You want to still put blogs on your website. Yeah. You know, you want to still have images posted, carousels, use all the tools. Because if you don't use all the tools, you know, the sites get almost like upset or something, and, you know, you neglect your posts then.
You know, exactly. And, you know, the search engines, whether it's AI, whether it's Google, whatever, they pick up the posts on social media. You know, so if you Google a company name, and you'll see their Facebook pages, their LinkedIn pages come up and that kind of thing. So all that's got to be done. And I got to tell you, people don't do LinkedIn like they should, you know, and it comes up in search, you know. So if you don't have it well branded, even if your personal profile, you know, you don't have your picture there, you don't have a banner up there, you know, if you don't have your full resume on there, you know, people are going to just keep going. You know, they say, oh, this person doesn't care, but you
most
have
to. Not even in business anymore because they don't look up to date and complete. Yeah. Do you think it's important for people to always have a business page and a personal page? So like Facebook business page, Facebook personal page, LinkedIn business page, LinkedIn
especially, because it gives you credibility. It gives you more credibility. And that's what you want, because you're competing against other people. And, this company exists. It's not a fly-by-night company. Right. So, like, I'm wondering about that person that's never had a website, you know? So it's like, they don't even have a logo. I mean, it's just the name of the business on their cards, you know? And that's it. And business cards, that's it. and it's like,
Probably printed on Vistaprint or
I
something,
have
right?
no idea how they've been in
Wow.
business. I mean, they've been really just depending on, partnerships with contractors and word of mouth.
Wow.
And that's it. But that only works for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember a guy came in when, remember my location that I had for training up in North Phoenix?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So a guy came in and he was still doing cold calling. I even forgot what business he was in, and I was like, oh, nobody wants to, you're no, no soliciting. You see that everywhere. So it's like cold calling on the phone. You don't do that anymore. Cold emailing, nobody wants that. It's spam now. So
Yeah.
So you just want to be there when people find you. And he ended up leaving that business he was in and starting a guide. To guide for camping and hiking and in the mountains and that kind of thing. That's what he's always wanted to do, and I kind of inspired him to go in that direction. So I'm like, fantastic, do it,
Right?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully he's still being successful with that then.
Look him up. I don't know.
Right? That sounds like it'd be way more fun.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's another thing that I hated being in a retail store. That's what I went to college for. And I hated sitting there waiting for the people to come into my store.
Yeah.
I wanted to figure out how to get them in. So even back then, and we're talking 1970s in Puerto Rico, right? We moved back to Puerto Rico after I graduated college. And so I was in the display window, and fixing and making that attractive, we had something new come in, and so it's, okay, that's got to go in the display window, so to catch the people that are walking on the street.
Yeah.
And then I started doing fashion shows at the discos. Disco, remember disco?
Oh, yeah.
Discos, That's a style of music. You can Google that. Okay?
Right.
Back in the 70s.
Something that hasn't worked its way back in. There's a lot of things that recycle.
But the bell-bottom pants have.
The bell-bottom pants have,
I
yes.
remember that. And so I used to do fashion shows at the disco. So the store would pay for the models, and then I was the coordinator. So I found that I had a knack for producing and events and things like that. So I worked for the disco for a while. Then the disco would pay me to come and do the fashion shows. So then I worked in hotels for a while. I did event planning, and so I have this wide variety of experience, which now comes in handy because I can help any type of business, whether they're doing e-commerce, brick and mortar retail, or whatever, and I can I've had the experience, and it's and which is one of the nice things of being mature.
Yeah. And what I think is beautiful is that even though you were told, you can't draw, you don't draw, it didn't make you stop from finding that creative path. You were still like, okay, well, maybe I can't draw, but I can still be creative. I can still make things. I can still do things.
Right.
I think that's excellent that you can, hear that and then just, be an accountant. So
that's one thing. It's really a left brain, right brain thing.
Yeah.
I don't do numbers well at all, and that was another thing, so it's like, I'm a creative person, and so it's like, I can arrange stuff, and I almost went to get my master's in communication back in 1978, around there, and I got into the Kmart management program, and it was near Rutgers University in New Jersey. And I mean, this close. And then my parents decided to move back to Puerto Rico, where my mom inherited the house she grew up in. So I saw Puerto Rico beaches and palm trees, and I saw Kmart in the snow, and I'm like, beaches and palm trees is a no-brainer, that kind of thing. So it was a whole new thing, and that's where and then I got into the retail stores, and I got into the hospitality industry, which that was a lot of fun.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And kids, you can also just Google Kmart. It was like the Walmart before Walmart.
Yeah. That was, I have to tell you, I grew up in the Bronx. We had a Woolworths across the street. That's another one. That is, along with Sears.
Sears, yeah.
My dad worked with Sears for a while in New York, and I worked for J.C. Penney. Mm-hmm. That one's
those are still that's saying a little bit. There's still a few.
Yeah. And everything's everything's gone online now.
I
So
know.
yeah.
Yeah, my sadness is still knowing like when Toys R Us went away. That was, and then I remember Eric and I saw one Christmas season that I think it was like Kohl's was doing some sort of pop up Toys R Us. I'm like, oh, guys, so excited. And it's just like a small section. It's like, no, you don't understand the magic that we would feel walking into a toy store.
Yeah.
No, it's almost a shame sometimes. Like you got to love online, you got to embrace online, but I do kind of miss some of those old school nuances of going into the store and feeling the things, and seeing the things, and I just especially when it comes to holiday seasons like that, it's like there's something magical about we're just gonna walk around and you see their eyes glow when they look at a toy, versus now it's just a catalog. You just scroll. What do you like?
I know, and you still want to, like in jewelry, you still want to feel it, and and I ordered some stuff online, and it's
I want to feel it.
Exactly. Yeah. And a friend of mine is sitting knitting, we're having coffee, and it's like, and how do you know what she orders the stuff on Amazon, So it's like, how do you know what the yarn feels like? You can't, unless you're familiar with that brand or something, and and you bought it before, so you're just getting it in another color or something, So it's just not the same, and it's like, you can return it, and and it's like, that's a hassle, But for the mom and pop stores, the little guy that's still on the street, like in downtown Glendale or Scottsdale or
Mesa
too, downtown, just keep at it.
Keep at it, please.
It's okay to have an online store also, so you can still sell online, and still have your brick and mortar store, so you can do both.
Most definitely. I know every year for the last several years I've had a bigger push and desire to shop local and support local businesses, but those local businesses really should also be online too, because then we all know people from outside of the state. They come visit once, they fall in love, you can at least send them a link to say, hey, here's where you can purchase more.
Exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. So tell me, what's a tale you wish you would have told your younger self?
To get personal, don't turn away from God.
Okay.
Trust in God. Because eventually that's what I realized, that my trust is in companies and employers. Is because you have to put your trust in God. He's the provider, so He's allowed me to have the talents and the skills that I have to be able to help other businesses, and that's it. That's it basically. Yeah. So I wasted a lot of time, but then again, that time was experience.
Yeah. Sometimes it's hard to answer that question because, especially when people are happy where they currently are, they're like, well, every experience brought me to where I am now. So sometimes it's hard to say, I should have told my younger self, do X, Y, Z, do this, do that.
Yeah.
But then if you made that turn in that path, would you have ended up in the same destination?
Right.
You don't know.
Right. I even go all the way back to when I was in third grade.
Yeah.
And I had to make a choice whether taking piano lessons or dance lessons. Because my parents couldn't afford both. Mm-hmm. And I chose piano. Okay. Now, I always think, where would I be had I chosen dance? With my creative and production, now knowing that, thinking I could have been a choreographer on Broadway.
Could you have done piano one season, dance the next season?
I don't know. That never came up because once we bought the piano,
It's true.
So,
pianos are expensive.
So you have to, and then you have to progress in your skills, from a third grader to, and then, back in high school and as an adult, I started getting into more pop music and jazz, so I kind of, but then trying to sit long enough to practice to become a professional player. I would have loved to be a piano player at a piano bar. Yeah. And just entertain people that way. But I couldn't sit at the piano long enough to be able to practice like 6-8 hours a day to become good enough to be hired as a professional piano player. So I was like, okay, so I just play for myself.
Right, that sounds fun to me too. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, and I taught myself guitar in high school also. Cool. That was a lot easier to learn.
Nice. Yeah. Very cool. Very cool. So you're like a one-person band over here.
Just about. Yeah. The only thing I was missing are the bongos or the conga drum, and I probably would have gotten.
I think the piano can keep enough of a beat that you don't necessarily need it. That's excellent. So tell me, what's one of your favorite tales you've ever read or heard or watched? So your favorite book or favorite movie?
I have to say I went back to 1973 and watched the Godspell movie.
Okay.
1973, it came out, and it was filmed in New York City. So I grew up in New York. We moved from Puerto Rico when I was 2.5. So that's why I'm a New Yorker. I toured in college in the choir singing the medley of the gospel songs.
Okay.
So I have them all memorized, and I watched the movie. I watched the movie like 3 times when I saw it. I was like, a fantastic movie, and it's just it just tells the story of the gospel in song, and it's just I found, and so it's a great movie. I love the music.
Yeah.
So the musical, and it's like, and I always go back to, had I taken dance, I could have been in that movie, thinking, because the
you can still take dance now. You're not too late.
Good God, no, my knees and my hip, forget it. I'm going to be 70 next Friday.
That's amazing.
So
Congratulations on that.
I was telling physical therapy this morning. I'm telling my physical therapist, and because I feel like a 35-year-old in a 70-year-old body, so it's like I want to do all this stuff, take dancing now, but hey, I spent years dancing disco. Mm-hmm. That was my skinniest then. We'd be dancing 3 hours a night in the disco. So it's like, yeah. For those of you who don't know what a disco is, watch Saturday Night Fever.
That's all you need. That's all you need right there.
That's all you need. It's a classic disco movie.
You got the Bee Gees, you got John Travolta wearing the wardrobes. Yeah, you got everything you need right there.
That's it right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent.
And I'm glad those movies are still available now. So you could
probably
go
even more accessible than anywhere. You can search it. It's on one of the 18 million streaming apps.
Yeah.
So we'll just see if it's actually available for free on one of the streaming apps you already currently paying for. I know one time James wanted to watch the original Space Jam, and we tried to search, and for some reason, like Disney didn't have it. No, none of the streaming sites that we already were purchasing had it. Mm-hmm. But you could rent it from like Amazon for like $10 or something, or own it for $10.
I got to the library and get them, because I
love
like I have them out from the library, so it's good. Yeah.
Oh, I love libraries. Yeah. What a great resource that we need to keep.
Yeah,
such a benefit. I tell all my family and friends, like, do not buy us books. No, it's not that we're not illiterate. We love the library.
Right.
We love using the library.
And, the library also gives out a lot of resources, like business lists in there. So you want to reach people in a certain. You want to know like how many types of businesses or get details on demographics and stuff like that. They have tremendous resources on there
classes, online. A lot of them here in the Valley too. They even have like production studios, like recording studios, 3D printers.
How to learn WordPress for free.
It's amazing. Yeah, utilize your resources. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
And as we're coming to a close of this awesome interview, I know you've already given a ton and a half information for people, but what would be that last leaving thought or last bit of advice you'd want to leave the audience?
You got your target market, you know who you're trying to reach, how you're going to reach your marketing message, and then plan. Mm-hmm. Plan, you have to have set goals, put a strategy together to reach those goals, and the tactical plan to implement the strategy. Mm-hmm. So those are the top things, and I was talking with it was a veteran. He was and I explained that to him. It's like, well, that's like tactical warfare, and I'm like, exactly. Mm-hmm. You have a goal. Okay, you have a strategy, and then you've got the tactical plan of how you're going to implement the strategy. So like, who are you going to send where? And that's it, and that's exactly it. Because it's a battle for the top of the Google search engine. Mm-hmm. It's a battle for it to get the attention of your target audience, because there's so much other stuff out there. Mm-hmm. So you have to plan it out and write it out. And no matter how you do it, just put it in paper somehow or on a computer somehow. and that's the way to do it. Yeah,
Definitely.
absolutely.
I always say it's not real unless it's written down.
Exactly.
So yeah, your due date isn't actually due date unless you wrote down in the calendar it's a due date.
Exactly.
Your plan isn't a plan until you actually wrote it down. And it's funny that you kept saying like the similarities with the veteran and him recognizing, oh, this is kind of like the military. Like there's actually a lot of similarities of tactical military operations and being a successful business owner.
Absolutely.
One of the books I recently finished was Jocko Willink's and Extreme Ownership, where he talks about, being a tactical Marine in Iraq. And I'm actually I'm such a peace, love, harmony person. Like I'm normally my husband was shocked I was listening and reading this book because he's like, you do not like war in the military. Like, what are you doing? It's like, it's not that. It's just like how you take extreme ownership in situations.
Right.
And as a leader too.
Right. Exactly.
No matter, if the team fails, no matter if it's, someone below, as the leader, it's your fault.
Exactly.
You didn't train them well enough. Or you didn't do things.
Exactly.
And so, there are a lot of things that are similar in just being tactical, and they always have, SOPs, standard operating procedures. What's the plan of action to accomplish this goal? And the same thing happens in business.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do.
Thank you for having me. It's
all
a lot
of the
fun.
services you provide to people. I know we've had a lot of mutual clients together. I know we've referred back and forth. It's so amazing to me that, people say, oh, I'm in marketing. But then I always go, okay, well, what's your specialty in marketing?
Exactly.
Because for us, it's video.
And that's another thing, because I realized that, I can't do developing and coding. So I have partnered with somebody who does. And you and Eric are way better in video editing than I am, so it would take me 3 hours, or 3 days to do would take you 3 hours to do, so, or not even that, so that's one thing, and it's okay to outsource, so don't think you have to do it all.
No.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, and actually you really shouldn't. Another book that I love was Who Not How. And so really think about it. What is your specialty? What is something you and only you can do awesomely? And then delegate out the rest. Build a team. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a W-2'd hired team. It could be partnerships with other business owners.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Absolutely.
That's why it's a win-win-win-win.
Right.
Yep. But step one is write it down. Who is your target audience? And then if you're curious and wanting to know more about social media marketing and digital marketing and SEO and WordPress and all the things that Giselle is awesome with, make sure you reach out to her. And how should people stay connected with you?
Well, my website is very simple. It's azsocialmediawiz.com. 30th anniversary. That's when I started my first business in digital marketing.
Wow. So April 2025, 30-year anniversary in digital marketing.
So I did a history of the internet, and it tells a story from AOL to Y2K, and young people are gonna. I mentioned Y2K in a YouTube chat, and somebody says, "What's Y2K?" And I was like,
"Oh my god!" I remember being terrified because my dad worked at IBM, and I was just like,
the world was going to end.
Yeah, I thought it was over. I was like, my life is over. Yeah, no, it's so funny. And then it was literally like, I remember just waking up and I'm like, is everything okay? My dad's like, yeah, they just zeroed. When just went back to zero.
My computer's still there. Okay, it's like.
It was so freaky at first. So yeah, so learn about all the fun horror stories that we had to live through. And then we'll put all the notes in the show notes and everything. And so make sure you stay connected. Giselle always has really great newsletters. Honestly, you always are a wealth of information.
Comes out every Thursday. Yes.
Yeah.
So you can sign up, and I also give a free 15-minute consult that I can do an SEO test on your website, or I can give you some brainstorming tips on how to improve and be effective in digital marketing.
Excellent. So if you are not where you need to be in your digital marketing, talk to Giselle. Thank you for watching Tales with Taylor. Please make sure you like and subscribe to the Financial Potion YouTube channel to never miss an episode.